want to welcome everyone to the first ever NCMPR Coffee Talk After Hours Lounge. I'm your host, Jeff Julian, District 3 Director, and I don't know why they're letting me do this. I really don't. And maybe they're not letting me do this. I could be alone in my office talking to myself, which I'm often doing in this new remote work environment, but I do believe we might actually be live. I did see some comments and some people might be watching, so that is fantastic. As I said, I'm Jeff Julian. You may also know me as the host of the Pure and Simple podcast. And all I can say is like, subscribe, rate, and review. We're dropping monthly and sometimes twice monthly new episodes with interviews of you. That's right, NCMPR members. And we have so much fun. So hopefully you enjoy that. And this is our opportunity to try to do Pure and Simple live in the Coffee Talk After Hours Lounge. We have a great show today. My guests are James Walters, Ashley Smith, and George Joe. Before we get started, I was reflecting on missing traveling, right? Virtual conferences are not the same as going to the host city, right? Going, in this case, to Seattle and being there and getting into the hotel. And if you're like me, one of the first things you do after you drop your bag is you try to find and identify all the toiletries that you're going to steal from the hotel. So I thought I would take a little trip down memory lane and look at some of the great toiletries I picked up over the years. Really nice little bottle of conditioner here. The shoe polisher. That's right. Oh yeah. Fancy. Very nice. And then, of course, the rum body wash. That's right. Who can travel anywhere without the rum body wash? We will put that over here for later. And then last but not least, the vanity kit. And as much as I like looking at myself and listening to myself talk, I can't believe I've never opened this vanity kit before. So we're going to do it right now, live on the air, and see what's in the vanity kit. And it appears to be not a whole lot. I'm going to tell you, this is like when Geraldo Rivera was in the vault, Al Capone's vault. There's not a lot here. We've got 3 Q-tips, which are very outstanding. What appears to be 3 like base pads or something, and then a nail file. So, okay, maybe we should get to our first guest after all. So let's do that. My first guest is James Walters, Executive Director of NCMPR. Wait a minute. Am I reading that? No. He's not the. When did that happen? When did he become Executive Director of NCMPR? I'm just kidding. James Walters is a fantastic Executive Director of NCMPR and one of my friends. Please welcome James Walters to Coffee Talk After Hours Lounge. Come on out, James, wherever you are.
Hey. Can you guys hear me?
What a reveal. It was like
Did you see that?
That was fantastic. And there's Natalie.
Thank you,
in
Natalie.
the background. It's like you brought your own co-host to my show. I don't understand that. Why are you always trying to one up me?
She's got my back, dude. I'm a little worried here. I'm a little nervous to be on your show.
All right, I've got a lot of questions here.
Oh, I'm sure you
My
do.
first is, how are you holding up? Have you slept at all?
Yeah, I've slept pretty well.
Are you sure? That's the answer of someone who wouldn't know whether they've slept or not.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I've slept pretty well. We had the time change the other night, and I had to get up at 3 a.m. to catch my plane to St. Louis to join the team here. So I was running on maybe a couple hours sleep that night, but I've caught up. I'm ready to roll.
You've got to be really proud of this NCMPR team of yours. I mean, what is it like pulling together a virtual conference? Because so far everything just seems outstanding from my vantage point. So
really, you are on the board too, aren't you?
I don't know that for a fact. It really depends on how this show goes, I think. So.
No, I you know what? I think it is going great. And I have to tell you, I have the best staff. We have the best group here. Ben's always watching over me. He's always lighting my face up when, you know, I need some extra light on. In fact, he's doing it now.
That appears to be his arm
That's
live.
Ben.
Fantastic. Ben,
He's cleaning
arm
off
looks great.
he's cleaning the screen now. So there we go.
Perfect. Live TV. You got to love it.
And Natalie's behind me. And of course, Luana and Connie and Jacqueline, who are not here with us, but man, they are behind the scenes and they're just working hard.
So, I mean, you've obviously done district conferences. You know, you've obviously put together district conferences before. What's it like putting together a virtual conference? Like, talk about what was different, what really stood out to you from, you know, previous experiences with conference planning.
I mean, there were so many ways that this could go, right? And I think when we were looking at this at the beginning, it's like, you know, how do we do this? Do we do, you know, live all these sessions live, or are we got pre-record? So, you know, we've got a good mix of the keynote sessions are live, the regular member sessions are pre-recorded. I mean, you just, all these things that you never had to think about when we were meeting face to face, you know. But then there's also the things you know, that you don't have to worry about, like, you know, how many steaks do we need? How many, you know, fish, vegetarian, that kind of thing. You know, there's the whole menu planning that, you know, we didn't have to deal with this conference.
Right.
But.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really fun elements to this, right? To talk about the leaderboard and what people can win by participating in all of these activities like the bingo and other things.
That's a great question. Two separate things, though. Don't get the leaderboard and the bingo confused, man.
Okay.
All right.
Help me out. Explain it to me.
So bingo is its own, you know, thing. You got in your conference in a box. If those who got conference in a box, you've got an NCMPR bingo card. There it is. Jeff's showing it right now. And you should have got a little highlighter pen. And as you are watching the conference and you see the little things that are happening on your card, you mark them off, and it's totally honors system here. So, you know, we're hoping you're straight up with your answers. But when you actually get them all checked off diagonally up and down across, you take a snapshot of it and post it up to our social media. And I think our producer Jacqueline might need to like come in on this one. So I'm totally blanking where the social media hashtag is.
There's Jacqueline.
There's Jacqueline. It's just like Gilman. You're like Gilman.
Yeah.
How I do. Yes. Hashtag NCMPR021 will get you entered into that, into our NCMPR game.
Fantastic. Awesome. And thank you, Jacqueline, for all of your help and support, including on the Pure and Simple podcast. Wouldn't happen without you. So.
That's right. And thank you, Jacqueline.
James,
and
what
the
about
leaderboard? The leaderboard is a cool little feature that keeps track of you while you're in the virtual platform, so it knows where you're going. If you click on a session, you get 10 points. If you go to an exhibitor, and visit an exhibitor, you get points. If you leave a business card, you get points. And it just keeps track of it automatically. And you can go check the leaderboard out and, you know, see where you're at and who the top clickers are. And, you know, I'm not going to give away all the secrets there because there are some, you know, there's some ways to buck the system, but I'm not going to give that away.
Let's keep it as fair as possible.
That's
Jacqueline,
right.
Maybe at the end of today's show, we can get a live look in at the leaderboard, or at least get a sense of who's in the lead early here in the conference. In
the early lead. I love it. I love it.
You referenced this a second ago, with that you're in Seattle. Now, this conference was supposed to be in your backyard in Seattle, and yet You're right outside of St. Louis. Can you explain that? And is this some sort of traveling pyramid scheme that you've drug us all into? Why are you in St. Louis?
Oh man, why am I in St. Louis? This conference was supposed to be in Seattle, and that was going to be Juan's swan song, right? You know, Juan had St. Louis, and I feel bad for him on that, but here we are virtually, and we thought as we're putting this thing together, and you know, actually, I think it was your idea, wasn't it, Natalie, for all of us to get together? Yeah. See, it was Natalie's idea. She's got my back. Anyway, to get together and work this conference together. So we were, we could be in the same room. If things are going wrong, we can all be together and we don't have to, make the calls and get on chats and all that. So the obvious thing for me was to come to St. Louis because Ben, who's also here, you saw him cleaning the screen a little while ago. Ben lives in St. Louis and Natalie lives just across the river in Illinois. So it was a real, short trip for her to get here.
Perfect.
And, this
So it makes
is,
sense.
you are seeing Command Central right here. I don't know if you can, I'll kind of share with you. This is
as
Command Central.
Impressive as I imagined. That it's like a live look in on NASA, and I mean it really.
That's right.
It's as
You should have
impressive
saw
as
us beforehand. We were sweating, and it was Gophercom and the whole thing, man.
I was going to say the only objectionable thing in that command center is Ben's St. Louis Cardinals sticker on the back of his laptop. Other than that, everything is fine in there.
I got my Blue Jays hat on. So,
I don't mind that.
Okay.
All right, so James. Now, this is where it's going to get serious. Seattle is your home. We were supposed to be there. And I believe you were going to bring a video clip of you touring Seattle to show us all of the great sites. So let's go ahead and roll that clip right now. Okay. So I'm getting the sense that there's no clip. That's right, James.
Yeah.
Isn't there? You didn't bring a clip, right?
Oh, man. You put me on the spot, man.
Now, here's the thing I found interesting. When you didn't produce the clip, you did offer to play ukulele, which
I did.
I don't know if that feels more like a punishment than a present. And I don't know that, you're the executive director. You probably could play the ukulele anytime you wanted, but see, here's what I think. I'm going to let you play ukulele. But only if you can answer 4 out of 5 trivia questions about Seattle. Okay. So I took this quiz this morning and I got 3 of 5. So basically all you have to do is beat me. You have to beat me at this trivia quiz about Seattle, your town. Okay. So are you ready for this? And please.
All my D7 people are probably watching right now. So man, I hope I don't blow this.
Do not help James. Do not.
I should pull the chat up.
Do not put anything in the chat to help James. He's on his own. Okay. James, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The Space Needle, you might be familiar with that. The Space Needle is one of the most recognizable buildings in Seattle. It's over 600 feet tall. Now, these are multiple choice, keep in mind. For what reason was the Space Needle built? Here's your options. The USA Bicentennial.
I can just tell you.
Well, tell me if you know it. Go ahead.
It was built for the 1962 World's Fair.
Oh, here we go. We're off to a hot start. It was, in fact, built for the 1962 World's Fair. Okay, we're getting close. I feel the ukulele. You got just a couple more. All right.
I'll play one note at a time.
Are you ready? I can name that ukulele tune in one note. Okay. Now let's pretend you're on the Space Needle and you're descending from it. And then you immediately trudge up some hills. Which of the following hills is not a hill in Seattle?
Oh, okay. All right.
The Queen Anne Hill, Beacon Hill, Nob Hill, or Capitol Hill?
That would be Nob Hill.
Very good. Bonus point if you know where it's at.
That would be in San Francisco.
Oh, very good. This guy, you see.
I used to live in San Francisco too. Come on, man.
This is why you are the executive director.
Okay.
All right. Next question. 3 bridges span Lake Washington: the Lacey Morrow, the Homer Hadley, and the Albert Rossellini bridges. The Rossellini Bridge, also known as the Evergreen Point Floating Bridge, held what distinction when it opened? Would you like the multiple choice, or are you just going to show off?
I have a guess.
Well, I'm going to give you the multiple choice.
I have a guess. Okay.
I think there's a lot of love for the ukulele that I underestimated here. Is it the longest pontoon bridge? Is it the longest bridge in the U.S.? Is it the bridge that handles the most traffic in the U.S.? Or is it the highest bridge in the U.S.?
It's the longest pontoon bridge. I was going to say it's the longest floating bridge. That was
very good.
Answer, but...
Very good. All right, James, this is it right here. I mean, you get this one and you get to play ukulele live on Coffee
Talk.
But I'm going to ask the question that I think is harder.
Oh,
to try to get you.
oh no.
Surprisingly, rivers don't play a large part in Seattle. However, one river near its southern boundary was the scene of a number of murders by a serial killer in the 1970s. What is the name of that river?
Oh man, we have a community college that's named after that river, dude. It's Green River.
All right, right there.
And hey, out there to all you Green River Community College folks.
That's right, Natalie. There you go. All right, James. Well, you did it. We're not even gonna take the fifth question.
Oh, man.
You really you knocked it out of the park.
What? Hold it. I don't get the bonus question.
You want the fifth question?
Yeah,
you're gonna laugh
come
at
on.
this one. What is the name of Seattle's sister city, rival city, which is now part of the larger metropolitan area? Oh, if you get this wrong, then the whole ukulele thing is off.
Hold it. Say that again.
But this is not class. I shouldn't have to repeat this. What is the name of Seattle's sister city / rival city, which is now part of the larger metropolitan area?
Bellevue.
No.
Tacoma.
There you go.
Sorry, I don't go to Tacoma that much. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
I'm more of a Bellevue kind of guy.
Let's not get into
you
that.
guys in Tacoma. I love Tacoma Community College.
All right, James, before we say goodbye to you and hear you play us off with some ukulele before we go to our next guest, beyond conference, what are some of the plans you have for NCMPR in the coming years?
Oh man. I'm really looking forward to it. This is, if you heard the podcast, which Jeff did with me a month or so ago, this is my dream. This is my dream job. And I'm just so passionate and so happy to be here. The staff is amazing. And I really want to take a look at some things to grow NCMPR, and that whether that be programming for other areas of the community college, whether it's, recruitment and advancement, really try to boost some programming there, boost membership through that. Work on DEI, and that's already an initiative that we're putting in place. And I believe that Juan and Deborah will be here on Thursday, to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so that's big on our list right now, and to weave that into our programming. So, just a lot of good stuff, and get back to face-to-face. We
Right.
want to get that.
Right.
I want to get back to seeing all you guys and really doing that networking and yeah, because that's what it's all about. It's about connecting, right? It's about connecting
absolutely.
with people and our members.
All right. So, quite an inaugural guest for the first episode. So, be both the first guest and the first musical guest, and give us about 35, 45, a minute of the old ukulele.
Okay, I'll play you the first, since tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Many of you did not know I was in an Irish band. So I'm going to do an Irish song on the ukulele. All right.
Excellent.
Just the first verse. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
You guys hear me all right?
My recommendation is maybe pull your microphone down just a little bit so it's between your voice and your ukulele.
How's that?
Beautiful.
You hear that?
Yes.
No, I look really weird.
That's how I always imagined you playing it. So it's a dream come true.
I tell me, Ma, when I go home, the boys won't leave the girls alone. Then they pull my hair and they stole my comb. That's all right till I go home. She is handsome, she is pretty. She is the belle of Belfast City. She is according 1, 2, 3. Please, won't you tell me who is she? Woo! All right. Little Irish tune. Happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Thank you so much, James. Fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. You are awesome, and I look forward to your next guests.
Absolutely. Well, hey, that is a great segue, and that's what we try to do here at Coffee Talk After Hours Lounge. So it's my pleasure now to welcome Ashley Smith. Ashley Smith is the communications representative at College of Western Idaho in Nampa, and he is the District 7 Rising Star winner. So Ashley, turn that camera on and come on out and have a conversation.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me. That's tough to follow up after the music. I tried to find my 6-year-old son's harmonica, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. So no Bob Dylan today.
I think it's time to grab the recorder out of the old attic and maybe give us a quick tune. So
Exactly.
You know, I was reading through your nomination for the Rising Star Award, and congratulations on that. And I think you'll know where I'm going with this. I have a numeral 1 in my email address after my last name. So it's first initial, last name, and then the number 1. So let's talk about Live After 5, which was how you dealt with a numbered email as well.
Yeah, when I first started at CWI in 2017, I get my email address and it's Ashley Smith 5, right? And I'm like, wow, not number 2, 3, or anything.
How many have there been?
Right, exactly. It's such a popular name, especially for a guy. So it was kind of fascinating to encounter that. So my vice president, Mark Browning, decided, hey, let's call you 5. And so then it went from there, and Audrey Eldridge said, hey, let's start this Facebook Live show and we'll call it Live with 5. And so we took this, kind of a joke and turned it into, we branded it. So we have a lot of fun with that.
That's awesome. That is great. Yeah. And it really is one of those things. And I thought the same thing. I was like, I don't think there's been anyone else here that has my name. How is this possible? Why are we getting these numbered emails? So, and 5 Ashley Smith. So congratulations on being the 5th and most popular at, or in the most successful at your college.
Hey, we'll take it. When I was a kid, I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, and there was a little video store, and it was called 5 Star Video, right? And off Donald Street. And as a kid, I'd love to go rent videos there. So I was always like, all right, I'm down with 5. I like 5.
That's excellent.
Good memories.
So part of your award nomination also talked about how you use your approach and your curiosity to win over skeptical faculty members. Now, I've never met a skeptical faculty member. So can you tell me how that works and what's your method?
Well, I love working with faculty here at the college, and really, they remind me a lot of newspaper journalists and journalists in general. Before I started at the college in 2017, I worked as a newspaper guy for 15 years. And so it's easy, real cynical, question everything. So I actually really enjoy that and interacting with them and just sitting down, and we have great conversations. And we have a lot of fun just chatting about all sorts of different things, and it seems to work, and it's great. It's fun to build a rapport with our faculty, and it really helps for our team when we're sharing stories. Jessica Argyle, who's the other communication representative at the college, we have a great time working with really all of our faculty and staff to be able to share their stories. So it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like you have a passion for all things communications, whether it's writing, meeting with reporters, even taking photos. So what got you into this field, and what do you love about it so much?
Yeah, I think that you hit it. It's really just the curiosity thing. There really was no better job, especially when I started working in newspapers. This, for a curious person, every day for me, it was like a field trip, right? Working in a newspaper, you're exposed to so many different opportunities. You go to so many different businesses and organizations. And I love that. You just learn every day, get to parachute in there, take photos, meet people. I mean, it was the best job in the world. And so when I decided I wanted to leave newspapers, and I thought about, hey, what's next? I mean, I've always loved education, and I worked at a newspaper in Twin Falls, Idaho, and I always loved working with the College of Southern Idaho and Doug Mon, who's a public relations officer out there. And so I always remember how great those opportunities were to get to go to the community college and share all the fantastic things that they get to share with the community. And so that's why I was like, I want to work at a community college to continue to do the same thing. And so with my job now, I get to do that. It's just a continuation. I get to share the stories from CWI and talk with faculty and students and staff. I mean, just last week I was out in the community garden, and they're working, clearing out weeds, getting ready for the garden and the new plants. And it's so great to be out there and talking with different faculty and students.
That's awesome. I always like to ask reporters or former journalists, what was the best story that you ever worked on as a reporter? The one that really stands out for you.
Yeah, I'm going to take the easy out, Jeff. I'm going to actually say there's 3 of them. So really quickly, I used to love covering the wildfires out west. And as you can imagine, we've had some big ones, and we had huge ones even 7 years ago, like the Beaver Creek fire up in the Sun Valley. So that was one of them. The Rose Bowl was one of them. I loved it. 2015 with Marcus Mariota when he won. You know, I'm a Duck, went to the University of Oregon, so it was great to be on the field there, just a few feet away from him, taking pictures at the end. And then another one was being able to cover a story in Croatia, being able to travel to Europe. That was always one of my goals as a journalist. I wanted to do an international assignment, and I had a chance to do that. So you know, those are some of the highlights. But I also love just every day, just, you know, hanging around, meeting new people locally in the Magic Valley back when I was working at the Times News, or the Willamette Valley at the Statesman Journal, and now in the Treasure Valley while I work at CWI.
What about your toughest assignment as a reporter?
Oh yeah, you know, the toughest one was a woman whose son, you know, well, that's funny you bring that up. Yeah, her son froze to death just north of Shoshone, and that was actually a national and international story. It was a horrific story. Their dad, they got stuck in a snowbank, and so he told his two kids, well, you know, it's near Magic Reservoir, which was just north of Shoshone, Idaho. And he said, hey, just go ahead. It doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that cold. It's only a mile or two to the intersection where we were going to meet your mom. Well, they never made it. And one of the kids passed away. And so going to talk with the mother, right? And again, it's that thing where you have to just, you be present, you're in the moment, you're listening. And then, you know, capturing either quotes for this story, or in that case, 2 photos, which, you know, was very, you know, pretty challenging, as you might imagine.
How do you translate skills like that you develop in the field as a reporter to storytelling at a community college or in a higher ed setting?
Yeah, so, you know, it's interesting because, as you can imagine, we have so many different employees and students and stuff. So you encounter the whole gamut of stories, right? And some of them are more positive than others, or what you know, whatever it may be. And some of the situations sometimes can be a little bit more challenging, and so those skills that I was able to learn really do translate into being able to connect with people now, and to be able to just, like I said, it's being in the moment, and just having that natural curiosity really helps, right? People can pick up on that in a second, right? And especially if you're dealing about a sensitive topic, and is someone going to trust you? Are they going to give you, are they going to open up to give you a better quote? And,
Right.
and those are the type of things that help to make the story richer and hopefully more engaging for our audience to read. And of course, our audience now is, you know, the Treasure Valley, and just as we shine a light on all the different things that we do. But there's a lot of applications. It's not like, you know, another crazy time, you know, 2011, there was a shooting in Twin Falls, you know, crazy stuff. Thankfully, there's things like that, knock on wood, are never transferable. But it's interesting, just some of the intense situations that you encounter as a journalist, as all journalists who, you know, there's a lot of former journalists, right, that work at community colleges now. And so they're able to transfer those experiences.
So you touched on a little bit, but, you know, as you work in higher ed, what is your favorite part about being a part of a community college and in being in that field and telling those stories?
Yeah, you know, so first of all, I work with an amazing team, and that starts with our leadership. Our vice president, Mark Browning, is really phenomenal, and our executive director, Audrey Eldridge, and then the rest of our team. So we're able to take that, right? So they give us a lot of freedom to go out and do what we need to do to find the stories, cultivate the relationships with faculty, staff, and students, right? They give us the time to do that. And that is really important, right, in and of itself. And so my favorite part is, as I mentioned, you know, it's going out to the community garden, or we just wrote a story. I wrote a story last week on our Math 095 initiative, which is this great initiative for our dual credit program at CWI, which we serve more than 12,000 students. So it's a successful program, but we're able to shine a light specifically on Math 095. As we all know, a lot of people have math anxiety.
Right.
And so this little initiative that we have, that's you know, it's a great pathway for high school students to be able to get past that roadblock. And I was talking with Carol Crothers, who's one of the math instructors here at the college, and she just told me, you know, just how important that is for students to build that self-confidence, and then they're able to take that. And I just love hearing that, because I think for all of us that work at community college, it reminds us just why we do this, right? We believe in the mission. It's not just saying that we offer high quality, accessible education, right? We really change people's lives every day. And most people can't say that, right? Most people can't sit down and say, wow, what I do directly changes people's lives. And I love that. And Carol was telling me a story about one student who left in tears. She was out of the parking lot. She turned around and came back, and Carol said, just stick with this. We can get you through this program. And they did. And then the sky's the limit for her. So I just love hearing stories like that.
All right. One more question about the marketing writing and the journalism. You know, a lot of journalists do kind of think of marketing as the dark side, right? So, you know, for now that you've come over to the dark side, you know, what are your thoughts about that concept? And you know, how did working in the field change your mind about that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. Thank you. Because yeah, exactly. There is always an edge around that, like, oh, those are just a hack. What are they doing? A flack, you know, kind of thing. And but for me, you know, again, it goes back to the mission of the college. And I really wanted to do, when I sort of move into marketing, public relations kind of thing, I really wanted to believe in the mission, and I really do, and what we do here. And so, you know, there's a lot of other companies, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't need to mention them, but that you've heard of in the news or wherever it may be, and you go, wow, how do they work at that every day, waking up? And, you know, again, working at CWI and for a community college, you know, we believe in the mission. So every day I'm able to get up and I hit the ground running, and I just love that I get to go out and meet new people and share the story on social media or whatever channels we may be using. So it's a lot of fun.
So you've worked with James Walters for many years through District 7. How often did he play the ukulele? And how many times did you want to just quit completely?
Yeah. No, that's actually the second time I've heard him. The last time it was in Seattle a couple years ago. But yeah, he's an amazing musician. And we were a musician, I should say. We were lucky a couple years ago, 2018, at the District 7 conference in Boise. He actually played a great song for us. We were joking around about Boise, Jules' song, Boise. It doesn't have a Z in Boise, right? Yeah. And he did a great rendition, and everybody loved that. So it's James just has this awesome personality. He's a great director, of course, and it just sets everyone at ease, doesn't it? When you hear the music, everybody's relaxed. It's a fun time, and hey, let's sit back and enjoy it.
Absolutely. So Rising Star, how do you follow that up? Are you overwhelmed by receiving that? You know, how do you feel, and what's next for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it was super humbling, and it's a terrific honor. And so, you know, again, I just, you know, I love working for CWI and the community college. I was really surprised when I received it. And so, again, I just want to continue to, you know, serve students and all that good stuff, and continue working with our great team. And like I said, you know, when I have amazing leaders that I work for, and so they've been able to help me grow, and I just want to keep growing, and we'll see where it goes.
That's awesome. So, you know, as we kind of think about the new normal beyond the pandemic, what's the story that you're excited to tell as community colleges and as the nation comes into this new normal? And so what's the student story you think needs to be told post-pandemic?
Yeah, I think the most important story, you know, something we're always trying to focus is on the high quality education, right? Because our faculty, you know, they have master's degrees in the field that they're teaching, and I think that's really important, right? Because sometimes there's a stigma, right, around community colleges, and it's important to break through that, because there's a lot of times at other four-year institutions or wherever it may be, where your instructor is 22 and they're just working on their master's program, right? Whereas CWI and other community colleges, we really provide people the skills that they're going to use for the rest of their lives, right? Our instructors really sit down and they are able to help students learn how to learn, which is incredibly important. And then also, you know, the critical thinking skills that they're able to take and that they'll use for the rest of their lives. And as they return to college, right? I mean, things are changing so rapidly in society with the workplace and everything else. So I guess the last thing too is really the flexibility that people have, you know, we've proved that, yeah, you can work remotely. Yeah, you can take classes effectively remotely. And so all the different classes that we provide, the 5, you know, at CWI, we have 5 different modalities and high flex classes and everything else. And so I think that's going to be exciting to see how that continues to grow post-pandemic world, right? That I think it's really opened the eyes of a lot of people and a lot of faculty members, and just to see like, wow, this is amazing. Just the opportunities that we're able to provide more students. It sort of democratizes the process of
Right.
education a little more. And so that's what I'm excited to share.
What did you learn about remote working or your own work habits that you didn't realize before you first went remote fully?
Well, yeah, it's nice to be able to wear slippers, right? or no shoes at all, right? Yeah, and I think again, it's just the flexibility has been nice, and you know, where we live, our kids are in class most of the time, but so we've been fortunate there. They mask up and follow all the protocols they need to, social distancing and all that good stuff. But my hat goes off to all the parents that have their kids running around in the background and during the meetings and everything else. It can be a challenge. So no, but you know, having the flexibility and just when you're done, you're able to go take some time on lunch and go for a bike ride when your kids are home and things like that. It's those type of things, really trying to make the most of the situation. And again, just incredibly fortunate to work at CWI, where from the top down, there's really this approach, like, from March 16th, today, March 16th marks, 1 year for us. It was a year ago
Wow.
today that we started a long spring break. And then over a course of 2-3 weeks, all of our instructors completed a Herculean process of transferring all the curriculum online. So it's kind of interesting that we're doing this interview today on the 16th.
Right. It's hard to believe. I mean, and I think I had that same recollection. I was doing an interview on a different podcast over the weekend, and it was the anniversary of when the venues in Chicago shut down, the live music venues, March 12th, and it had been a year. And it's, I mean, I think you realize that, right? You sense that, but then you don't. And then when you have it brought back to you in these bits and pieces and fragments and moments, it really does stand out as wow, a lot of time has passed, and here we are trying to figure out what's next.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Coffee Talk today and being a part of NCMPR. Your work is outstanding, and congratulations on being the rising star for District 7. And we're looking forward to many more great things from you, and hopefully only a few more ukulele solos from James.
Jeff, thank you so much. And I don't know, I wasn't sure if it was possible, but we went through the entire interview without a Mike Myers joke about coffee talk. So we did it, man. We did it.
Good. That's not on the bingo card either. So
we'll work on that for the next
That's
one.
right.
Well, anyways, Jeff, thanks again for having me. Had a great time.
Thank you, Ashley. I really appreciate it. So for all of you here today, hanging out with us in the lounge, we really appreciate it. And hopefully you've been able to get some coffee or a gift card for coffee through the lounge. And we will be doing this all of the conference. So tomorrow and Thursday as well at the same times. So hopefully you can come hang out with us. I've got one more guest for this inaugural edition of Coffee Talk, and I'm really excited to talk to George Joe. George is the District 6 Communicator of the Year winner and the Director of Marketing and Communications at Dana College in Saline, Arizona. George, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. You say the best for the last.
That's right. That is absolutely right. And I was going to ask you, is this your first time as the closing guest on a lowly rated afternoon talk show? Because
This is my
I was
first
told
time.
that maybe you had appeared on Ellen at some point. So,
Not yet. Hopefully be getting there. This
okay,
is my
that's right.
first time with NCMPR.
This is the ticket, right? To the big time, spending a little time with me in the afternoon. So I'm really glad to have you here. In your career as marketing director or other walks of life, what's the most fun opportunity you've had to close out something or end something, whether it was a project or a ceremony of sort? You know, what stands out to you and what was fun about it?
That's a really good out of the box question. I don't know. I can't think of one actually. Or maybe there was a conference. I was in housing before, and I did some work for public marketing communications for them. And I remember at the end of one conference, we had some big crazy event at the end of it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember exactly the full detail. That was several years ago.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, if it was a crazy event and you don't remember, that's a sign that it probably was a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
your institution serves Navajo reservation communities, and you're recognized in your award for your successful marketing and recruiting strategies. So, can you talk about how you've evolved the approach to marketing and communications at your institution since you arrived as the director?
Let me give you a little bit of background. So there's a story that just came out from Inside Higher Education. And I'm just reading it right now. And it's about tribal colleges. So Diné College is a tribal college, which is a different classification of colleges. We are federally funded, and we serve predominantly Native Americans. So like our institution is 99.5% Navajo, but we do accept everybody. Anybody can come to school here. But to get a degree, you have to take 12 courses in Navajo language.
Okay.
But the story says that they surveyed, there's 36 tribal colleges, and they talked to, I think, 21 of them, and the majority of them lost between 10 to 19% of their students during this whole pandemic.
Right.
And so we come across, and I was looking to see what they said about us, because I've been trying to get the numbers too. Last fall of 2020, we had like a decline of some 45 students from the previous year, which was really good, which put us in a good area. This spring, same thing. I think it's like 35 students less than last year. So yeah, we've done pretty well, and that's because of the way the way we did our marketing this last fall and this spring. I can tell you more about it.
Did you feel like you had to change the narrative around the institution or the approach to reach students? What really stood out to you as the formula that helped you do that?
I bring it down to like 4 things. One of them is and the Inside Higher Education story does mention this. One is that we gave discounts for tuition. Our tuition is actually very low already. I mean, some of the other colleges would probably be surprised, but our tuition is like $55 a credit hour, which is a great deal.
Yeah.
So we can be as free as we could be free completely. Again, because we're in a different category, meeting a certain demand of students. And so when we marketed that, the first thing we said is we're not going to tell them the price. We're just going to say it's 50% because people are going to go all crazy about that. And it worked. That was one thing we did.
Yeah.
We never told them the price. And before, we would usually tell them the price because it worked against our advantage. It worked in our favor in prior normal marketing years. Now, so that's one. The second thing we did was we went beyond the boundaries. Well, let's just say, first of all, when the pandemic first came, we did an assessment, market research. We kind of knew what the public was looking for. And I was reading everything online at that time, what other schools were saying, what people were doing. So I kind of knew that there were certain things that we would have, our message and the information that we need to communicate has to be different and unique. And we'd have to use some of those. And I wrote some notes down. One of them is that I knew that because we were predominantly face-to-face, and we only had, unlike other schools again, we only had about maybe 10 out of 350 classes a semester online. So we completely went from 0 to 90 in one semester. And I knew that that was going to cause, one of my advantages is that I've been in higher education. I've been an instructor myself, and I have a marketing and communications background for over 25 years. So I have both of those. I understood both. And I knew that our students would be struggling with getting internet access, trying to learn the system. At the same time, our faculty would have the same problems, both sides, because of my knowledge and experience in that area. So I knew we were going to, right at the bat, lose 15% of our students. So to make up for that, I figured we'd have to go after a different market that we usually don't go after. Now, the pandemic caused a lot of people to be unemployed, a lot of people to be sitting at home, and that happened here on Navajo in the reservation. So we went after those target markets. We specifically targeted them with certain information, and we created information around material to reach out to them. And I think those were the successes to our staying in the keeping, not having a big drop in enrollment.
That's great. And I mean, an absolute rarity right now when you read about so many colleges across the nation that have had major enrollment drops during the pandemic. You know, we've talked about it a little bit, but the pandemic really exposed many of the inequities on college campuses, whether it was access or paying for college or food insecurity or technology issues. What else did you find at your college, and how did your institution address it? And what role did your marketing and communications team play in helping to address that?
Well, yes, we had number one was internet. Okay. We knew before the pandemic, as you guys probably know, I think maybe 15-20% of the public, the people around here, the students, had reliable internet access. And then we also did a survey ourselves. The school did our own survey. Now, since then, the American and Higher Education Fund, they did a survey also, and they went out and talked to some of our students and then other schools. And those numbers are published in that article I was telling about Inside Higher Education, about 1, students didn't have laptops, 2, students didn't have internet. So we complemented that. There were several things that happened, and we were fortunate. We used some of our money to build up some hotspots across certain locations that we knew these students would be at. So the school did that. And my office, because I'm the marketing communications director for the college, we communicated that. We knew that the students are on Facebook and they're on Instagram. Through social media, we would reach them and let them know about this, because they don't check their emails for whatever reason. It's just the way it is. But so we communicated, we use social media to communicate that very important information to them. And that really helped in getting information out. And like I said, the Wi-Fi upgrades, we also purchased some, when we got the first COVID monies, all the schools got COVID monies, and we used that to also purchase Wi-Fi sticks for students that were in very remote areas. So they were able to log on as well too. And we were paying for their service. But when just a couple of weeks ago, we completed our survey of the students. And like I said, the college did their survey. And really what it came down to was roughly 80% did not have a problem with internet access, which was really good. Yeah. They either had Wi-Fi in their homes, or they bought satellites. They were able to go to certain spots. The Navajo Nation built Wi-Fi. Again, this has never happened before out here. Unlike when you go into a city or a town, right? You're in Phoenix or whatever, and there's Wi-Fi everywhere.
Right.
This is not the case here.
Right.
Not the case. There may be, you have to drive 30, 40, 50 miles to get Wi-Fi.
Wow. Yeah.
And so these little small location hubs, everybody kind of worked together, the entire tribe, different offices, including our schools and other schools. We partner with other schools, and everybody kind of built the Wi-Fi for students, not just college, but lower K through 12. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So that helped a lot.
Yeah. You mentioned before that in addition to being a director of marketing and communications and having that experience, you also have experience as an instructor. So talk about how you take that time in the classroom and translate that or use that experience to help you in your current position.
Someone asked me that same question once, and they said, why are you good at what you do? And I said, well, I'm good here at this higher ed because I have that background as an instructor, as a college instructor. And I understand the students, I understand what their needs are, I know what needs to be communicated to them, I know their demographics. Again, we have very unique demographics here in Indian country. So what I'm telling you here is basically the same that happens at other so I understood that. I also have I have 2 master's degree. One of them is education. So I also, from that knowledge of education, I also knew, again, other stats. I could research certain information. And so I had this whole body of knowledge. So I really specifically knew how to target the information that students really need to know.
Hmm.
And then have my team create graphics and communication material to reach them.
You talked before about this tremendous undertaking in a tribal region to build up this Wi-Fi network, and you know, some of that, you know, obviously that's a result of the pandemic to you know, that exposes this, and then you know, whether you take federal money or you just, you know, band together to make this happen. Is that something? Do you see a path forward to do more of that type of collaboration and work to support students?
Yes, and in fact, under the new stimulus bill, there's a lot of money going to tribal schools and tribal colleges. And then there's also a lot of money to under Biden's plan to expand broadbands and internet connectivity in Indian country. I think we did okay. We're doing okay from during this pandemic, only because of some of the unique strategies we were able to use and get information out. But I know, like the article I'm telling you, there's schools that had huge drops in enrollment, and they've lost those students. And I know a lot of the concern. I'm also on the co-chair of the school's data team. So as part of that, there are a lot of students struggling with access. There's one instructor saying that he's teaching a class this semester and he has like 25 students, and like 23 of them he hasn't heard from this semester. They basically just gave up.
Right.
And they're frustrated with they're tired of the lack of access, the trying to do their work online, and they're struggling.
Absolutely.
So yes, there's going to be a lot more. And I keep thinking, wow, what we basically, if there was a scenario to describe this, we basically covered with the entire tribe and the schools and everybody, basically covered the leaking potholes. But now that there's be more money's funds coming in, I think we can do even better. And it's I understand there's one school that even using some drones to get homework material out to some of our students. Yes,
That's
out here it's
fantastic,
happening.
right? Yeah, there's incredible opportunity right now, and you mentioned the different federal stimulus packages that have come through. There's other changes with the new administration, whether it's the new Department of Labor secretary focused on apprenticeships, or a new Department of Education secretary. And then, and I want to encourage others, if you have questions for our guests, feel free to put those in the chat. And we did have a question from someone around Deb Haaland being the first confirmed Native American Interior Secretary, and you know, what sort of message does that send to your students and in your community?
We usually don't want to get involved in politics, but when Deb Haaland was first, I use it as an educational opportunity. So my office put out graphics, social media graphics saying, because some students wouldn't know that. So some students wouldn't know that. Basically, when she was first nominated, we put information saying this is the first Native American in history ever nominated for a high-level position. And then when she was recently, when she was confirmed yesterday, we also put more information out. And so everybody's happy. It means a lot. And in fact, we're putting an ad out in this publication going out tomorrow. And there's a little message that I just put in there. And I sent it to the college president to get approval. Okay, yeah, he just got back to me. Sorry, I just had to look at it.
That's okay. When the president emails, you have to pay attention. Right?
Yeah, well, I wanted to get his approval on the message, because basically my thinking is that if we were down here now, we're going to be up here when she's gone, and we need it more than anybody else, I would say. with 50% high school dropout rates, with only 6% of our entire population with higher education degrees. Oh yeah, we need all the support we can get. And
Absolutely.
one of the areas she will be overseeing is Indian education that falls under the Secretary of Interior. So it is like a blessing from God that she's up there now.
George, I want to ask you one more question before we close out this first edition of the After Hours Lounge, and thank you so much for being a part of it. I think we've nibbled around the edges of this question, but how do you think our work as communications and marketing professionals will evolve as we emerge from the pandemic and into whatever our new normal is?
I think we will be valued more.
Yeah.
I know some people recognize it. You know, I've always said I do some consulting here and there. One of the things I always say is communication, or the lack of communication, is the root of all evil. I know every time people have like a strategic planning meeting or whatever, they get together, and then at the end of the conference, they'll find out we need more communication. And then that's it. Then it just gets thrown away, and it happens everywhere. And then communications people are always underfunded. I think people just don't understand what we do and exactly how we contribute. We try to communicate it. Some people get it, some people don't. But those that do get it, they end up knocking on your door all the time. But I think, yeah, we'll be more valued, more appreciated. I guess you could say more understood, the contribution we have to making things happen.
Well, that's fantastic. You heard it here first. George said we're going to be more valued on the other side of this. That's news to everyone's ears. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this, and congratulations on being the communicator of the year for your district, and just appreciate the time, George. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Well,
thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. And to everyone, all of my guests, George and Ashley and James, and I want to thank Jacqueline behind the scenes, and Natalie and Ben and everyone else who helped put together this first Coffee Talk After Hours. It has been a blast. We will do it again tomorrow, and so hopefully you'll be able to join us. Until then, have a great conference. Take advantage of all that NCMPR has to offer. We appreciate you. Have a great day.